Welcome to Directional Scale Modelling. This is part 21 of the Hachette HMS hood scale 1 to 200 build. In this build I'm carrying on directly from part 20, but I'll also be adding more little bits and pieces to the tower as well. So let's jump into this and see how I get on. So I'm beginning exactly where I left off the last time. In part 20 I stopped right at this point, not at the video, so I'm carrying on with this upper part of the command tower here. As you can see, there's lots of photo etch to be built into it. The front section, I had primed this before I ran out of paint on a previous sprue, hence why the different colour, but as you can see that had to be bent into shape. And I should say, like the majority of this photo etch that I've been dealing with, almost everyone had to be trimmed or cut for it to be fitted. It's a really taxing job, but obviously it has to be done. The little collars or lips that go on the top, like the other ones I did in the previous episode, they were quite taxing because of the size, quality of the photo etch and so on. Also because of my trimming. Some parts I didn't cut 100% straight, unbeknown to me, so this led to some gapping issues, which I will fill in later on down the line. But for now, I'm just fitting them on, and I'll deal with it all later on when I have to clean everything up. Unlike the previous section, the windows for this are photo etch parts. Again, they have to be bent into shape. Quite difficult to do because they're very thin pieces of photo etch and they're easily bent and contorted out of alignment. So I had to be quite careful here. Wasn't 100% successful. I did manage to flatten one little piece that I had to try to straighten out. It's a 136, and this is the other half of the funnels that were supplied in the other issues. But predominantly I'm dealing with the main tower again, and I'm building the more gun sights and light searchlights and so forth. So first of all I have to paint all these, and they're getting painted in Revel Aquacolor 75 Stone Grey. So this is a lighter colour grey to the normal main colour, just to give it a bit of contrast, like I did with the deck as well. And while all those parts are drying, it's back to the main structure, and yet again I'm placing on more side walls, railings around the unit. I should point out though, the next set of base plates that I've just placed on here, these actually went on really well. They lined up perfectly, and I didn't have to trim them. I was glad of that because I've actually had enough at that point. So going on to the screws, and I've already primed them, and I'm painting these in Revel Aquacolor 92 brass. Now I know they really should be a copper colour, but I haven't found a decent copper colour throughout the paint ranges I have. The brass colour gives it a deeper metal look. If you ask me, it's just my personal choice. So then it's back to the main structure while things are dried. I'm putting on the side components to the base. Like everything else, I had to trim it to fit. Also, these had to be bent around the curve, and they were a nightmare to put on. But once they were on, another collar at the top gets placed on. These were slightly easier to place on because I was able to pinch them into shape. And once more, there's a series of ladders and handrails that have to go on. I found it was better to place in the handrail first, then the actual step, and then the second handrail, instead of building it all up then trying to fit it in. On the other decks, if you remember, I pre-built all these handrails, and a lot of them I had to take apart and build it inside the actual unit to get them to fit. I'm now having to cut to length the support beams, pillars that are going to be for the aerial and masts. There's 3 to cut in total. The thicker one is a slightly larger size than the 2 other ones. So one's a 5mm diameter and the other one's a 4mm diameter. So now that things are dry, I can put on the next section. This is where I've taken off the 2 side walls of the last structure, those ones I was on about that were only there temporarily. This is just to make sure I can get everything lined up. It was easier to build it this way than fit in the side walls to fit in with the actual shape of the structure that was going on top. It would have been a nightmare, I think, trying to get it all lined up otherwise. So I'm just placing in here the actual pillars now. These aren't being glued in at the moment. As you can see, they're unpainted. The instructions say do not glue them in at this stage. Obviously there's a lot more work to be done yet. Now I've got various gun sights, and I think they're fire hydrogens or water cannons. I'm not exactly sure what they are, but there's quite a few of them to make up, and they have tiny little photo etch parts to be placed on. These are basically the handles on top of the unit themselves. There's no way my camera can pick these up, but as you can see, they're tiny, if you can see it, but I've got them all secure on a piece of tape to stop them from going everywhere. I've held one main part with a pair of locking tweezers while I pick up the part that's going to be attached with another pair of tweezers. It just gives an extra dimension to hold the unit while you're working on it. And once they're all dried and painted, and they are all painted in Rebel Color 75 Stone Grey, so they've been repainted after the initial paint once the photo etch parts were placed on, and it's just a matter now of placing them around the built deck that you can see there. They go on at various points. There is little marks on the deck for me to guide them in. There's still work to be done on these towers. There's a couple of little boxes to be made up and put in, and this one acts as a support pillar as well for the bottom and for the next item that's going on, which is some railings and ladders. So it has to be placed in quite carefully to get the initial position done, because if this isn't the incorrect position, then everything that's going to go up against it will just be wrong. So then it's back to making more. These are searchlights that I'm making up here. So again, you can see how small they are. Well, I should say they're searchlights and more gun sights and things like that. So there's I think there was 3 different types of units I had to build here, but they were all built in the same manner, like as you saw with the tweezers and so forth. The actual searchlights were easier to build. They came in 3 parts, but they were slightly bigger, and the anti-flash mechanisms that go on the front of the light, that was just a clear part, well, not clear, a square photo etch part which just hung on to the front of it. The handles for these were slightly larger as well. That's what I'm placing on now. This is actually one of the main gun sights I'm placing on. It was easy enough to fit, but these are all metal parts, not plastic, so they were quite difficult to attach even with the super glue. So I've got a few more of these to make up, so I'll bring part 21 to a close now. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds, or indeed for the videos for this build. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified of all my updates, including updates for this build and future builds. Hit that like button and of course leave a comment. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.